Hi guys, welcome to your first lesson in calculus. It's not really a calculus lesson. This is a lesson that you got way back in Algebra 1, then you got it in geometry, then you got it in Algebra 2. So this is probably something you're very familiar with, but it's also something that, believe it or not, we use all the time in calculus. So hopefully you remember all of this. Hopefully it's easy. I'm sure it will be. Bear with me while I figure out how to work this gadgetry. Good luck to both of us, or good luck to all of us. Here we go. Okay, so first, slope. Simple slope. You know that thing, rise over run, the slant of a line. Most important, make sure you know when you're looking at a problem, make sure you know whether it has a positive or a negative slope just by eyeballing it, because that's the most common mistake. So if you start on the left side of a graph, okay, if you start on the left side of the graph and it goes downhill, then that's a negative slope. If you start on the left side and it goes uphill, that's a positive slope. Always figure that out first. Okay, so now find the actual slope. Rise over run. If they don't locate 2 points for you, then you have to find 2 points. And then you can visualize this little triangle. You don't actually have to draw it in there. Okay, and we will rise 1 square and run 3 squares. But we actually went down 1 and right 3. If you go down, it's negative, up is positive. If I go right, it's positive, left is negative. But in all honesty, it doesn't matter because we said downhill was going to be a negative answer. So there you go, negative 1/3. Okay, rise over run. Number 2, this should be a positive answer. And if I count squares from point to point, starting on the left side, always start on the left side, and I go up and over and count those squares, okay? It's going to be up. I need a little sharper point here. From this point, I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares, I think. Up 5 and right 1. Okay, kind of sloppy. Let me double check that. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares and over 1 square. So up 5 and right 1. But that would just be a slope of 5. Okay, remember the slope, the symbol for slope is M. I don't know why. Probably it was another language originally. So this has a slope of 5. Okay, sorry, so sloppy. Next, okay, horizontal and vertical lines. You might memorize these slopes, but you don't really have to because you can still figure it out. Okay, number 3. For this, if I start at this point on the left, or any point really, it doesn't matter which one I start with, I rise 0 and run 3, or I rise 0 and run who gives a who, it doesn't really matter. 0 over any number is 0. Okay, whereas this one, if I start at any point I want, I rise 2, or any number you want, and I run 0. When 0 is underneath, that one is undefined, or no slope. Ran out of room. Undefined, or no slope. And you can't call this one a 0, okay? You have to say undefined. Let me write that again a little prettier so you can see it. This one is undefined. This one is a slope of 0. Very different, okay? Horizontal lines have a slope of 0. Vertical lines have an undefined slope. Very important. Very important. We'll use this all year, okay? 0 underneath is undefined. Alrighty, so moving on. Hopefully all this is still very familiar to you. Okay, now we're going to find the slope given 2 points. Okay, for that one there's a formula, but it's also still just rise over run. But if you think about it, which axis, the x or the y axis, which one rises or goes up and down? And that's the y axis. So you're going to subtract your y coordinates on the top, and on the bottom, the axis that runs is the x axis. So then you're going to subtract your x's. And you don't have to write the formula or anything like that. You guys are in calculus now, for crying out loud. You can just subtract carefully. Also, it doesn't matter if you do the second point first or the first point first. As long as you do the same order on both the numerator and the denominator, it works out the same. Okay, so subtracting the y's, -4 minus -10. Subtracting the x's, 10 minus 7. Okay, -4 plus 10 would be 6. 10 minus 7 is 3. Simplify, you get 2. Now, FYI, if we had done that problem in reverse, I did -4, I did the second point first. If we did it the other way around, we would have gotten, okay, I'm doing the same problem right now. If I had done it the other way around, -10 minus -4 and 7 minus 10. Now my answer would be -10 plus 4, which is -6, and 7 minus 10 is -3, but two negatives still simplify to a +2. So it doesn't matter which order you subtract. Do whatever's easier to you. Just do the same order on the top and the bottom. Okay, I think you get it. That's enough. I'm not even going to bother with number 6. I'm pretty sure you know how to do that. So moving on. Okay, this looks like the same type of problem, but I want you to notice right away by looking at it that on number 7 you have 2 of the same x's, and on number 8 you have 2 of the same y's. When that happens, you're either going to have a vertical or horizontal line, and you can kind of skip straight to the answer. In the numerator, let's go ahead and show you anyway the long way. In the numerator, I'm going to subtract my y's, -19 minus -18, and I'm going to get -1, but it really doesn't matter what I get. On the bottom, -20 minus another -20 is going to be 0. 0 underneath is undefined or no slope, but do not say that the answer is 0. If you had graphed those points, you would see that this is a vertical line. -20 down 18 and then -20 down 19 would be a vertical line. Okay, next, number 8. Subtracting the y's, you get 6 minus 6, and I don't care what's on the bottom. If there's a 0 on the top, regardless of what's on the bottom, 0 on top, my answer is just 0. Okay? By the way, I learned a little trick way back when. 0 on top is okay. It equals 0. 0 on the bottom is no bueno, no can do, undefined. Little trick, little trickery. Moving on. Okay, let's see. Okay, now we're going to do what we really actually do in calculus, honestly, all year. It'll have different names. We won't call it slope. Instead of the word slope, we'll call it a derivative. But it's going to be the same stuff all year. You have to know this, and you have to know it forever. Okay. Oops, I apparently skipped one. Let me see. Where did I go? Okay. So, write the equation of a line. We won't tell you what form to write it in, okay? This says, I keep getting screwed up. Hold on a second, guys. One moment. Okay. This says to write it in point-slope form. Write the equation of a line, okay? You're going to be writing equations of lines all year. So I need you to memorize right now. In order to write the equation of a line, you need to know two things. Point and slope, point and slope, point, slope, point, slope. That's why it's called point, slope form, but they're never going to tell you point, slope form. You have to know today and for the rest of the year to write the equation of a line, you need to know a point and a slope. Now, point, slope form looks like this. Y minus, that was too big. Hold on a second. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Now, the y right here and the x right here, those are going to stay in the equation. You guys probably remember y equals mx plus b. There's a y and there's an x in the equation, okay? So that's going to stay there. The x1 and the y1, that's your point. x1, y1, and m, that's your slope, okay? Again, in the future, it's going to be called a derivative, but you don't have to know that yet. Alrighty, so to write the equation of this line, it's going to be y minus, I just noticed that I wrote y2 here, that's y1, okay, y minus y1, which is negative 3. Now you can skip straight to writing y plus 3 for that one. You're smart kids, you don't need to waste time with that step. Equals m, which is 1/5, times x minus x1, which is 5. That's it. Leave it like that. In calculus, leave it like that. Don't risk changing that form into y equals mx plus b form unless they ask you to, or if it's a multiple choice test and you don't see that answer. Okay? Point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Know it, love it, never forget it. It'll be there all year. Luckily, it's easy. Okay, so this one, same thing. Try to just go straight to the answer. Memorize, memorize, memorize this formula. You have to know this one forever. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Call it a day. Done. Okay? Super easy. That is known as point slope form. You don't need to know that it's point slope form. You do need to know that if they say write the equation of a line, you need what? You need two things. Point and slope. Point and slope, point, slope. Okay, now some algebra. If they do tell you to write it in a different form, hold on, I did it again. Dang it. Okay, if they do ask you to write it in a different form, or you find that the form you had, which was point slope form, we always start with point slope form, always. But if you find that the answer is not there, then you need to know how to rewrite the answer in the way that maybe the multiple choice answers have it. So even though this says equation of a line still, it says standard form, probably they're not even going to say that. They're still going to just say equation of a line, but when you look at the answer choices, you won't see it in point slope form, so you'll know to go a little further. All right, no matter what, when it says equation of a line, we start with the same two things, point and slope, point and slope. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. That answer is in point slope form. Normally, that's the end. However, if this was multiple choice, you go to look at the answers, and that's not there. That's because often standard form, which is this guy, ax plus by equals c, often that's how they write the answer, which is just basically the x term, the y term, and a constant, where a, b, and c are all integers, no fractions, and usually they don't want a to be negative. So how do I make this equation that we have look like this one? Well, first just distribute, okay? So we have y minus 4 equals 4/5 x minus, do not dare use a calculator for basic stuff. I know because I have taught calculus a long time. I know you guys are super duper calculator dependent, but you have to get over it. Half of your exam is non-calculator, so you've got to get used to dealing with stupid things like fractions without a calculator. Visualize the 3/1 and just multiply straight across. 4 times 3, 5 times 1. So that's 12/5. Okay? Now, if I want to get it in slope-intercept form, I would add 4 next. Okay, and I'm going to teach you some tricks to doing that without calculators. So now I have y equals 4/5 x. Okay, we need a common denominator here. Visualize this 4 with the denominator of a 5. 4 is the same as 20 divided by 5. And you can do that in your head. Replace that 4 with a 20/5. And now it's negative 12 plus 20. Negative 12 plus 20, which is 8/5. This form right now is in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. You might look at the choices A through D, and that might be an answer choice. If not, then it's standard form, which in this case, that's what they told us to put it in. So what we need to do now is we need to get the x term first and then the y term, okay? And we need to get rid of fractions. It doesn't matter which one you do first. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the fractions. So to get rid of the fractions, you're going to multiply everything by the common denominator of whatever fractions you see. So I have to multiply everything by 5. Multiply this guy by 5, this guy by 5, and this guy by 5. Kind of sloppy, sorry about that. So we're going to get 5y equals, here the 5's cancel and I get 4x. Here the 5's cancel and I get 8. Now I just need to move that x term to the front, so I'm going to move it to the other side or subtract 4x on both sides to get negative 4x plus 5y equals 8. Now weirdly enough, sometimes that's the answer. Some people will still call this standard form because it is xy constant, but a lot of books say that the first term has to be a positive. So if you don't see this answer, then just change all the signs or multiply by negative 1, and the final possible answer would be this, 4x minus 5y equals negative 8. Okay, that is standard form. Let's see what else I have here. I hope you're doing okay, everybody. All right, this is really the same thing. We're going to write equation of a line again. If they say, yeah, I did it again. I'll get used to this stuff eventually, I promise. If they say equation of a line, I don't care what else they say or what else they give. If they say equation of a line, what two things do you need? For equation of a line, you need point and you need slope. Well, here's the point. Slope, if they tell you it's parallel or perpendicular, then they're trying to give you the slope. By the way, perpendicular is spelled wrong here. That's got to be my doing. Okay, so if it's parallel to this line, then it has the same slope, same slant. So all I need from this piece right here is the 1/2. That is the slope I'm going to use. That's the same as saying that the slope was 1/2. Okay, if it's perpendicular, then the slope, which you see right here, is the opposite reciprocal. Change two things, flip and negate, flip and negate. So I'm going to flip that fraction and change the sign, which will make it a positive. So now we're going to do the same thing we did before. Point slope form, very, very easy. Again, all year long you will use point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Leave it like that unless told to do more. Done. Okay, last one. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Done. Call it a day. All right, guys, that was your first lesson. I hope it wasn't too much. If it was, go back and watch it a little slower. I know I talk fast, but this is supposed to be something you've done for many, many years, okay? So hopefully it was all right with you. And today's worksheet is just going to be a review of everything you just did there. When you're finished with your worksheet, you can either print out the worksheet and write right on the worksheet if you want to, or write on your own paper, show your work. Make sure I can see your name nice and neat. Show your work nice and neat. Any work that's necessary. And you can see how much work I showed. You can skip some steps. And then you're going to take a picture of it and upload it and turn it in every day. All right? Hope that went well, guys. Good luck.